In October of 1998, a 19-year-old college student walked into a thick morning fog just outside her rural hometown of Evershade, Vermont, and was never seen alive again. What was found weeks later in a nearby orchard would shock the quiet community and leave behind questions that, to this day, have never been answered. This is the story of Mara Elwood, the girl who walked into the fog and never came back. Chapter 1. The Disappearance. Evershade isn't on most maps. It's a real town, tucked deep in the forests of Windham County, Vermont. Population 1,132 at the time. A place where doors stayed unlocked and people knew each other's dogs' names. Mara Elwood had grown up there. She was a bright, quiet girl, not shy, but observant. She journaled compulsively and read horror novels like they were gospel. Friends described her as curious, a little intense, but sweet. After graduating high school in 1997, she enrolled at Castleton University, an hour and a half from home. On October 9th, 1998, during a long weekend break, Mara returned to Evershade to visit her parents. That morning, around 6:40 a.m., she told her mother she was going for a walk before breakfast, a routine she had picked up at school. She never came back. Chapter 2. The search begins. At first, no one panicked. Mara had taken long walks before, often into the wooded trails north of the Elwood family home. By 10 a.m., her parents became concerned. By noon, her father had alerted local police. By 2 p.m., over 30 volunteers had formed a search party. They combed the nearby woods, fields, and hiking paths. Nothing. No footprints, no clothing, no signs of struggle. But something was strange. That morning had been unusually foggy. Several townspeople noted it. The kind of dense, unnatural fog that hugs the ground and muffles sound. One witness, Mrs. Agatha Corwin, 82, said she saw Mara walking down Route 4 toward the orchard, just a shadow in the fog. "I thought it was odd," she told police, because she looked like she was talking to someone, but there was no one with her. That detail would come up again and again. Chapter 3. The Orchard. The orchard in question was Hollows Glen, abandoned since the 1950s. The property was overgrown and decaying, with collapsed barns, broken fences, and rows of gnarled, dying apple trees. Kids used to dare each other to go there at night. On October 27th, 18 days after Mara vanished, a group of hunters entered the eastern edge of Hollows Glen and stumbled across something horrifying. A body, half buried in a shallow pit under a collapsed row of apple trees. It was Mara. She was face down, partially decomposed. Her legs were clean, but her arms and upper torso were covered in deep scratches, like she had tried to crawl through something dense or escape from it. Her nails were broken. Her lips were missing. Her eyes had been removed. Not gouged, but delicately cut, as if with surgical precision. There were no signs of sexual assault, no animal activity, and no blood in the surrounding dirt. Whoever placed her there had been very, very careful. Chapter 4. The Evidence, or Lack thereof. The autopsy was inconclusive. Time of death was placed somewhere between October 9th and 14th, meaning she may have been alive for days after her disappearance. There were no drugs in her system, no alcohol, no signs of blunt force trauma, poisoning, or strangulation. Cause of death was listed as undetermined. Local police was stumped. The state police got involved. Then the FBI. Every lead dried up. Mara's ex-boyfriend, Jacob Wilkes, had an alibi. He was in New Hampshire all weekend. Her parents were cleared. Phone records were clean. No suspects, no fingerprints, no DNA, except for one detail. Inside Mara's jacket, zipped into the inner lining, was a piece of paper torn from one of her journals. On it, written in shaky handwriting, "It's not behind me. It's beside me now." No one knew what it meant, but it wasn't her handwriting. Chapter 5. The Journal. The rest of Mara's journal was never found, but friends told investigators she had started getting weird in the months before she died. She became more withdrawn, asked questions like, "Do you ever feel like your shadow is watching you? And if something looked human, how would we ever know it wasn't?" One friend, Laura Phelps, told a chilling story. "She called me once at like 2 a.m. and said she couldn't sleep. She said something was knocking on her window, but there was nothing there. Then she whispered, 'It learned how to stay quiet.' I thought she was just being dramatic." Another friend said Mara believed she was being followed, but not by a person, by something that borrowed faces, a shape, a presence. She told her roommates she felt like she was becoming hollow, that things were leaking out of her. It was all dismissed as stress, maybe even early schizophrenia. But now, investigators weren't so sure. Chapter 6. The Town Legend. Here's where the story gets even stranger. Long before Mara was born, Evershade had its own set of urban legends. The most prominent was the story of the Hollow Man. It dates back to the early 1900s. According to local folklore, the Hollow Man was a spirit that followed people who noticed it. It would appear in fog, mirrors, or reflections. Never fully visible. Just a shape. It didn't kill right away. It wore people down, fed on the isolation, confusion, and fear. Eventually, it would lead them into the woods, and they wouldn't return. In every version of the tale, the victim was found missing their eyes. The local sheriff, when pressed by reporters, dismissed it as small-town ghost stories. But not everyone was so sure. Chapter 7. The Tape. In 2005, 7 years after Mara's murder, a local antique collector purchased a box of old electronics at a rural estate sale. Inside was a microcassette recorder, the kind used in the 90s. The tape inside was unmarked. The audio it contained was chilling. It begins with Mara's voice. She's crying, whispering, saying she's sorry, saying, "I didn't mean to see it." Then footsteps, breathing. Then a second voice. Not a person's voice, but something trying to sound like one. Hollow, repeating her words back to her, mocking them, like it was learning. "I didn't mean to see it. You saw it. I didn't mean..." "You mean nothing." Then silence. The last thing heard is Mara whispering, "It's beside me now." The FBI reportedly investigated the tape, but the file was never released. The collector who found it, he vanished a year later. His car was found outside Hollows Glen. His eyes were never recovered. Chapter 8. Current Theories. To this day, The Evershade case remains unsolved. Over the years, dozens of theories have emerged. A serial killer. Some believe Mara was the first victim of an unidentified killer who mimics supernatural elements to confuse authorities. But no similar murders have occurred since. Psychosis and suicide. Others think Mara suffered a mental breakdown, wandered into the woods, and died from exposure. But the state of her body doesn't support this, especially the missing eyes. A copycat legend. Some argue Mara may have believed in the Hollow Man legend so deeply that she inadvertently recreated its elements in her own tragic death. And then there are those who believe she really saw something. Something real. Chapter 9. Aftermath. Mara's parents moved away in 2000. Her childhood home is still vacant. The orchard? Now fenced off, officially condemned. But people still break in. Paranormal investigators, TikTok explorers, urban legend chasers. In 2021, a YouTuber claimed he camped near the spot where Mara's body was found. At 3:40 a.m., his GoPro captured a figure in the trees, just for a frame. Tall, featureless, watching. The footage has been debated endlessly. Some say it's fake. Others say it matches descriptions from multiple Hollow Man sightings across the years. But there's one final piece of evidence that chills even the most hardened skeptics. In 2023, a second body was found in the orchard. A local teenager, 17-year-old Ali Grant. Same injuries, same missing eyes, same fog. A new note was found with her, stuffed into her coat pocket. You saw me. Now I see you. No suspects, no cause of death, no answers. Is there something haunting the woods of Evershade, Vermont? Or is the Hollow Man just a myth? One that's been used to explain something far more human and far more terrifying. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And remember, if you ever find yourself walking alone in the fog, don't look to your side.